Alright lads and lasses, I'm Eccentric Racer, and I'm here on Forza 5 doing a little bit of an investigation, completely inspired by a comment where someone was going on about this Neo EP9 not really being deserving of a top S2 of 998. So that's what I thought I'd investigate. Is the Neo really that quick? Does it deserve to be the second car from standard to be the top of S2? Now, for this, I am not including any special edition of a car. So none of the Forza editions, and not the Apollo Welcome Pack. Just the two standard cars that are 998. So that means this Neo and the Ferrari FXXK. Now, in case you are not aware of the PI system, basically it takes a number of attributes into consideration when giving it a number. Ever since FM1 Forza has had this PI system to put a number on a car's pure performance, and it's not very accurate whatsoever. A lot of cars have been absolutely broken by the PI stats, especially in FH5, where practically almost every car has had a PI drop. So there's now even more room for cars to be even more broken than they were in previous installments. Anyway, I'm not going to be focusing on them. I'm just purely going to be focusing on the Neo and the Ferrari FXXK, two cars from standard on 998, and see which one is quicker. The stats of the Neo: 1341 horsepower, 1480 Nm torque. It is very heavy at 750 kilos, 0 to 60, 2.6 seconds. The 0 to 100 was 5.2, and the top speed was 195. The FXXK, its rival, has much different stats. 1000 horsepower, so it's even less powerful, even less torquey at 900, but it is a lot lighter. 1270 kilos is a hell of a lot lighter. 0 to 60 even quicker, 2.3 seconds. The 0 to 100 was 4.6, I believe, and the top speed is a lot more, of 220. But that's just numbers. The FXXK on the numbers really is quicker, but numbers only tell a small part of the story. What are they actually like on the track? So first things first, I headed to Estadio, quite a power-friendly track, and I threw the FXXK round at first to set a benchmark. And I can tell you one thing, the FXXK was absolutely stunning to drive. Absolutely loved it. A little bit of a handful at the lower speeds, with it being rear-wheel drive and whatnot. Even though it's on slicks, it's still a lot of power going to the rear wheels, so it is a little bit challenging at lower speeds, but, you know, nothing too bad. As we are showing the fastest lap, I had 20 laps to go as quick as possible. We did a 47.231 in the FXXK Evo, and that was the fastest lap I got with this car. It was very rewarding, very great to drive, and yeah, I was actually pretty happy with that lap. Now up next is the Neo. With the fastest lap, I did it, and you can already see the Neo is quicker. A 47 dead, so it's already 0.2 quicker than that FXXK, but I did go faster. And the Neo around here, I thought I'd go around here first, mostly because this was where the rivals took place with the Neo. It was at this track, so I thought, you know, we'll go back there first. And through the chicane, the Neo was so goddamn good to drive. Almost flat out at that chicane. This corner I run ever so slightly wide, and unfortunately I do flag the lap, but it was still a much quicker lap than the FXXK. So this round we'll go to the Neo with a 46.9, so 0.3 faster already. As we jump onto the Xbox One X, you can see, because of the frame rate being poo, I decided to sort of make my own version of the Plaza circuit, be a little bit more technical, a little bit slower, to see more what the cars are like at lower speed. I do actually take the corner a little bit wonkily. That left-hander, I did take that a little bit wonky, so, you know, that's going to impact the lap time a little bit, but, you know, the Neo around here was actually pretty challenging, but not too bad to drive. The thing about it is the acceleration out the load speed stuff. was actually quite bad. So I had to I had to keep that into consideration. I couldn't really floor it because there's still a lot of power. 1300 horsepower is a lot, especially when it's going through all four wheels and all of that power is there. It's just instant. So, you know, I did have to be concerned about that. So that did leave some interesting handling characteristics, but it was actually still very, very nice to actually drive around my sort of my own version of the Plaza circuit, being a little bit slower. That hairpin, these two hairpins, the Neo did struggle to get out of. The lack of acceleration at lower speed stuff really does hamper it, but the four-wheel drive stability and just the just how much cornering this car can take, it really did help with a 126.7 around my little make-and-take circuit. I did do a lot of laps of practice in this, so you know, to get used to the cars. So now we go to the FXXK Evo. This was a lot trickier to drive around here, but I actually did prefer the Ferrari to drive. For some reason, I just felt it was more rewarding to drive the FXXK quick than it was the Neo. I think the Neo having so much grip, you kind of shut yourself off a little bit. Compared to the Ferrari, you need to be awake. You need to be prepared to deal with 1,000 horsepower going to the rear wheels. Yes, they are slicks. Yes, they are wide. But none of the power is going to the front wheels, so you do have to be concerned about that. So, yeah. It was a lot more rewarding to drive the FXXK quickly. But it was actually slower than the Neo around here. The Neo was a lot more stable, a lot easier to get round, and ultimately was quicker. Even if it wasn't by much. Just the issue with the Neo was its low in acceleration. It really did struggle to get out of the corners. But the faster corners, it absolutely flew around. That's the thing about the Neo. If you can get a track with a lot of very high speed corners, that not a lot of cars can take flat out, that is where that car will absolutely dominate. Things like Playa Azul. That track is that car's playground. It absolutely flies around there. So, you know, there is that. So, that was the fastest lap in the FXXK. It was a 127 dead, so again, 3/10 down. I'm back on the Series X for this one. Going to Moulage circuit, and this is actually where the problem with the Neo shows. The FXXK actually goes quicker than the Neo around here. Because of the back straight, the Neo's lack of top speed and high-end acceleration really, really impacts the car where it matters most. But as we go through this sort of city section of Moulage, the Neo's going to be quicker than the FXXK, especially this left-hander. You know, in the FXXK, that was a little bit risky, but in the Neo, it was absolutely nothing. However, it's this section here where the FXXK really shines ahead of that Neo, doing a 46.4. It was absolutely flying around here. That first corner, although I didn't really show it there, was flat out in both the cars. So the Neo went up next, and you can already see the struggle of the acceleration trying to get out of that double right-hander, doing a 47 dead. This, of course, me showing the fastest lap. You can really see the Neo is down many miles an hour. I think it was about, what, 16 or 14 miles an hour? It was already down before we got to the first very big braking zone. Both of the cars did the first corner flat out, so the Neo was going to gain no time there, considering the Ferrari was going quicker and was still flat out doing that fast right-hander. It was just going to gain more time. But through the city section, the Neo was quicker, but it just didn't matter really, because it could not get out of some of these corners anywhere near as quick as the Ferrari. Head round the final corner, we can already see it struggles to get to 180, but we do a 46.9. So when it being 3/10 up on the two other circuits, it's then 6/10 down. Yeah, no, 5/10 down, half a second at Moulage. So I decided to take the cars to a drag race. And the times are at the bottom there, and you can see the Ferrari FXXK is 1 second faster. You can see the just the speed difference between the two. It was absolutely flying down the 1 mile drag race, and the Neo tops out. The Neo can only tops out 191, whereas the FXXK were going 212 miles an hour across the line. So it was a second down. And I decided to do one more thing, because if you're going to do these things in a Horizon event, Horizon Open, Horizon Arcade, not Arcade, the other one, Tour, you're going to do a point-to-point. So how are the cars going to compare at the point-to-point? Whilst the Neo has got so much high-end like handling and things like that, it is absolutely incredible. The top speed just isn't there. You can see 195 miles an hour. That's it. That's all it will give. It can't go quicker than 195. It can keep at 195, but when you've got another car that goes a little bit quicker and can roughly take the same cornering speed, I do go wide a little bit there, but can take similar cornering speed, the Neo really starts to lose what makes the car insanely quick. Because of its lack of top speed, it then can't really, well, continue on, getting to ridiculous speeds, because, well, it just hits this wall where it cannot surpass. So it's going to start falling back, even when around some of the corners it is ridiculously quick. Like, I had to do a small lift there, and I'm still doing over 170 miles an hour around that pretty challenging left-hander. But that doesn't matter with that cornering speed, because the amount of time it loses not being able to do 200 miles an hour in between the corners, it adds up in the end. Especially compared to the, especially when it comes to a lot of the point-to-points, you do want that little bit more top end, which the Neo just doesn't have. And we go across the line, and that is the time it did there, a 201.321. So that was the target for the FXXK. But the FXXK, as we've already proved, was faster in a straight line, and nowhere near as bad through the corners. It's not that much worse than the Neo. Yeah, sure, it is noticeably worse. I have to slow down quite a lot more for that very quick right-hander. But as you can see, as we're going in between the corners, I'm already surpassing the top speed, already doing 207 miles an hour. Put it in the 7th, and even these very fast corners, the FXXK can still take at ridiculous speed. That corner's flat out 212 miles an hour. That's almost 20 miles an hour more than the Neo, and I'm still able to, take corners, go quite late on the brakes, takes huge amount of speed round them. So yeah, that's the main issue with the Neo. It's just the top end is just not there, so it just loses out so much. Like, and we go here, there you are, I'm already going quicker than what the Neo can do, and I'm still going flat out around the corners. So it's just going to lose even more time. And yeah, sure, it's going to gain time here, because I have to go deep below 100 and almost dipping below 160 compared to the Neo 177. But I'm back on the power, and already I'm going quicker than what the Neo can ever do. So the time it gains round the corner, it just means nothing. It means absolutely nothing when the Ferrari can just go faster and still take the corners flat out. So, we head up to the final corner, and it's already a sub 2 minute with a 156.25. So it's 5 seconds quicker at that point-to-point than the Neo. So, to conclude, do I think the Neo deserves to be S998? I think no. Because of certain things. Because of the car's lack of top speed, it will just lose out almost everywhere where a long straight is involved. It will lose out on all point-to-points where top speed is more of a factor. But around the circuits, it's gonna be fine. That's not gonna be affecting the car at all. So yeah, I do think it does not just be 998. Sort of what the comment suggested, sort of about a sort of more mid S2. Well, I say mid S2, more sort of 980. But the other issue with the Neo is like you can't really upgrade it. There's no real upgrades to it. So yeah, there's a little bit more of an issue in there as well. However, that is going to be it for me. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, do the stuff the YouTube algorithm likes, and yeah, if you want to see more sort of investigations like this from me, then do let me know. Subscribe as well. I'll be highly appreciative of that if you do it, and there'll also be a link in the description to join my Discord in case you want to say hello to me. It's up to you. However, that is it from me, and until next time, ciao for now.